Hi guys, it's me, Christian Anderson, and I am here to answer your questions. I meant to get this video to you sooner, but the weekend got away from me and I was just overwhelmed. So then I just shot it. I answered all your questions, but the video was too long, so now I'm going to try to answer them quickly. So here we go. First question, was it always your dream to become a performer? Yes, it always was my dream. At a very young age, I always knew that I wanted to be a performer. My dad was an actor, my mom was a director of sorts. I was surrounded by it, and when I saw, I saw people acting under the lights, singing songs and all that stuff, I thought, that's what I want to do. Number two, how did you get into performing? What was your big break? I got into performing because, my mom and dad were into it. When my mom was directing shows and she needed a kid, she put me and my brothers in shows, so I got into it. My big break came in about 1996. It was 1996, almost 20 years ago. I auditioned for the first national tour of Rent, and I went to an open call, had about 5 auditions, and finally booked a job. It was great. I was in that show for about 3 years, made my Broadway debut, made a whole bunch of lifelong friends. It was pretty cool. Met a woman who I got married to, had kids. Anyway, Brent was my big break. Number 3, how did you get into puppetry? Well, I was always interested in puppetry, always. I wrote a letter to Jim Henson in Sesame Street when I was like 6 years old and got a cool postcard back. But once I finally got into Avenue Q, when I collected Muppet videos and played around with my own puppets. Not that I made, but that I bought, the toys and stuff that I had lying around the house. And my mom was very supportive of my interest in puppetry. So and then I got into Avenue Q, and once I got the audition, I bought a book on how to build foam puppets, and I built a puppet, and I took it to the audition, and I got into a callback, and I got into what they call puppet camp, where they teach you more, and I brought the puppet with me, and then once I got on the show, I was trained by the guy who plays Walter in the Muppets, Peter Lintz, Amy Garcia, another amazing puppeteer, and I was attached to one of the best, Muppeteers in the business, Jen Barnhart. So I've had some great opportunities for training. Okay, number 4, how often do you practice? Unfortunately, I don't practice all that much. I got a lot of practice. Just last season, America's Got Talent, I had a puppet named Ira Fennelbloom as a contestant. You can look it up online. And Ira, I had the puppet on a lot. We were doing a lot of improv with the puppets, with my friend Howie, and we did a lot of rehearsal. So I practiced a lot then, and every once in a while I bring Ira out and do little stuff. But I don't practice as much as I should, like get in front of a monitor and practice. I usually, try to set up a project that I'm working on with some friends and then shoot it, and that's my practice on the spot. But I'm pretty bad at that stuff. Number 5, how long does it take you to memorize lines? I whittled it down. I can do about 2 pages in about an hour, 2 or 3 pages in about an hour. Maybe even 4 pages in an hour. But that's something that came with lots and lots of, practice. I really have to work at that, and it's just repetition, repetition, repetition. I start with the first paragraph, and I read it, looking at it, and then I try to do it by memory, and then I try to do another line, and another line, another line, until I get, a whole page. Then I'll start at the top of that page, go down to that page, and then start with the second page. Just repetition, 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 just constantly saying it over and over again. Number 6, when you are in a show, what is your average day like? What's your schedule? So when you're in a Broadway show, our schedule used to be Tuesday through Friday. We'd have an 8 o'clock show. We'd get there at 7:30. We have to be there half an hour beforehand to get ready and to make sure that we're there and ready to go. And then the show was 2 hours, and then we were out the door. On Saturdays, you'd have a 2 o'clock show, and you'd have an 8 o'clock show. And on Sunday, we had a 2 o'clock show and a 7 o'clock show, I believe. So those were our big days. Our weekends were pretty full. And then Monday was what they call dark, so there was no show. It was our day off. So I could do anything with my day. Go to the movies, go to a museum, walk around the park. On Mondays, I could go up to Connecticut where I grew up, and I could visit old friends, to get out of the city. I could do whatever. Sometimes my my kid would be in town, and I'd hang out with her, you know. Um, but I could do whatever I wanted, and then at night I'd go to work, and then I'd go to bed afterwards. Sometimes meet friends for you know, dinner after a show, you know, especially if they came to see the show. Someone I hadn't seen in a while came to see the show, we'd catch up. But usually I just walk home and watch TV and pass out. And on the weekends, I would get up and have breakfast. Then I would go to the show. And then on Saturdays, I would almost always go to a matinee movie a couple blocks on 42nd Street from where the theater was on 45th. And Sundays, I'd try to do that too, but sometimes I would just nap, or we'd play video games, or I'd hang out with people in the cast in the dressing room or whatever. We'd all go out to eat in between shows, you know. It was awesome. Number 7, how do you handle stage fright? I've never really had a problem with stage fright. And also, when you're on stage and the lights are shining, you don't really see the audience a lot. So if you do get afraid, or if I do get a little nervous, I found it easy to kind of pretend they weren't there, and then just focus on what was lit, you know, the stage and all the stuff with the other actors, and just pretend that was all that was happening, you know. And I felt really comfortable because we had been in rehearsals. It wasn't, you know, and pretending that this whole new fresh audience who hasn't seen you and could be sitting there like, why don't you show us what you're doing? Let's see how we feel about it. It's easy to pretend that, you know, they're not there. And I'm not saying audiences are like that. You know, a lot of audiences are just like, full of wonder and so excited to see what we have to offer. But if you do get nervous, it's easy to kind of pretend they're not there, except when you hear them laughing and clapping and breathing and coughing. Let's see. Number 8, what is the biggest mistake that you ever made on stage, and how did you handle it? The biggest mistake, and it wasn't all that big, was in Avenue Q. And so the role I was playing, I was Nikki. And so I have a puppet head, you know, doing the mouth, and I have the hand. And then my friend Jen Barnhart is walking right next to me doing the other hand. She didn't say any lines. I did the voice for the puppet, but we were very giggly. So if I made a mistake in a line or something, she would start to laugh, and I would start to laugh, and that was just it was a downward spiral. It was fun, really fun, but rough. Really good times. This one particular time, I'm singing a song called "If You Were Gay," and the song goes, "If you were gay, let it be okay. I mean, 'cause hey, I'd like you anyway." Well, I've been doing the show for a long time, and sometimes your body knows what's going on. The show just happens, and your mind can start to wander, thinking about like, oh, what movie am I going to see in between shows, or what am I going to eat, or boy, I can't wait to to see my daughter when she comes into town. And I'm singing the song, "If you were gay, that'd be okay. I mean, 'cause hey," and my mind starts to wander, and I'm blanking. I don't have the words, so I just go, "Damn a doop doop anyway." And I just made up some weird noises, and Jen was, laughing and hiding behind me, and I could hear that. I could smell her laughter. It was just, I couldn't really smell her laughter, but it was just like I knew she was laughing, and it was so contagious. So for the rest of that number, trying not to laugh was really hard. Well, we had a couple of instances like that. Really fun. What is your dream role, and what show would you really like to be in? I've never had that. I've never been like, well, I have always wanted to do, Les Mis and play Jean Valjean. I don't have that, so I don't really have an answer for that. But, when I saw Rent, I was like, I must do this show. When I saw The Full Monty, which was one of my other shows that I did, I said, I must do this show. Got to be in the show. And then Avenue Q, I must do the show. I must do that part. In fact, my dad, before I saw the show, before I even knew I was going to audition, my dad saw the show, and he called me up and said, hey, I just saw your next show. And sure enough, it was my next show. Yeah. And the next one, what is the weirdest voice or accent that you can do? I think it might be Trekkie Monster from Avenue Q, Me Trekkie, me not Cookie Monster, me Trekkie Monster. Me don't like cookies, me like Star Trek and other things. So, that was a voice that, you aren't really asked to do all that much. And a lot of people did ask me if it hurt, but I found a way to do it where it didn't hurt. So I could sing in that voice. I had a lot of fun being Trekkie. Number 11, what do you like to do other than perform? What are your hobbies? So I got into the show, and I love performing and I love puppets, but I always wanted to know how do you make the puppets? So one of my hobbies is making puppets. I love to make puppets. Like this guy, I made this cool guy. He's a little zombie puppet. Got no lower jaw, and he's got like all this fake blood and stuff. And I get excited about building something. I made these teeth out of foam, and I colored them, and all smushy stuff, all really light. He's got these cool, like, zombie hands. Ooh, I love zombies. And he has these crazy eyes. I love to do that. I love to build them. I love to draw a sketch of them and then put it together. And that really makes me feel accomplished when I'm done. Now I have 3 questions from a young man named Bobby that I would like to answer. The first question is, have you ever been in a movie? Well, Bobby, yes, I've been in one movie. And the movie is called Tromeo and Juliet, kind of a goofy take on Romeo and Juliet, the Shakespeare play. And I had just a small part. I was like a, I don't even know what I was. Kind of like a bum kind of character, sort of, that popped up in a couple of scenes. It was fun. It was very low budget, but it was fun to do, and got to meet some cool people. Next question: do you know anyone famous? I mean, I know Jen Barnhart, who is a famous puppeteer. I know Peter Lintz, who plays Walter on the Muppets. I know. I used to hang out with this guy named Michael C. Hall before he got really famous. He's been in a number of really big shows. And, my wife at the time and his girlfriend, who became his wife at the time, we used to, hang out as couples together. But then, we all kind of went our separate ways. But, I know people who've done movies. There's this guy named Aaron Lohr who's sort of famous. He was in Newsies, the movie, Rent, the movie. I had a roommate named Abigail Spencer. And what movies did she do? She's done a bunch of movies. You guys may not know her, but she's up there. My fiance, Camille Chen, is an actress, and you may know her. She's in a commercial. I don't know if you guys pay attention to the commercials, but there's one particular commercial that she's very well known for. Is one where these 2 girls walk into a clothing store, and one girl is like, "Oh, I love this bag, State Farm agent, are you there?" And the State Farm agent shows up and helps her get the bag, and the girl goes off. And my girlfriend, or fiance, Camille, is like, "I don't have State Farm, but insurance, find me money." And this fisherman guy shows up, and he's like, "I got you $1," and he's got a fishing pole with $1 hanging from the line. She's kind of famous. And the last question is, what kind of phone do you have? I have an iPhone 6 Plus. It's big, it's beautiful, and I love it. And that's it. I hope these questions were helpful to you. If you have any more questions, please send them to me. I'd be happy to answer them. And I hope you all have a great day. Thanks. Bye.